It's the Heckleproof Comedy Podcast with Zach Bolton and Carl Lee and Maddie J. Tonight's episode, music producer Mark Johnson.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Heckleproof Podcast. I'm your boy, Carl Lee.
I'm Zach B.
And I am Maddie J.
And before we get started, like always, got to give a shout out to our sponsors. Maddie, who we got?
Well, let's see. We got Road Comedy Underground, my personal favorite sponsor.
Oh,
Who
yes.
else? Of course. And we got Courthouse Family Fitness.
We had some delicious food right before this, sponsored by Hawaiian Hut. Thank you, Wes.
Thank you, Wes. I can't wait to demolish that.
Good.
I hope you don't have nothing stuck in your teeth, courtey of Hawaiian Hut.
Not yet. I haven't
Check
eaten
it?
yet.
Did you do a
Hawaiian
teeth
I
check?
haven't eaten yet.
I
Not
always
yet.
get Hawaiian butt after I
Not
eat
yet.
that Hawaiian Hut.
Butt. That's a compliment, Wes, by the way. What the fuck? And let's say what's up. Thank you, Chadwicks. Thank you so much for supporting Heckleproof Podcast. Also want to thank the pub, the Point Pub and Grill. Amazing food. Go check that place out. Amazing food. They're going to open up a new location soon on another one on South Medford. So
We have to alternate different days and make sure that we coordinate so we don't get Hawaiian Hut and the Point at the same time and we'll just be too bloated to do the podcast.
oh hell no.
Who's this fine gentleman right here, Maddie?
This esteemed gentleman sitting to my left here is Mr. Mark T. Johnson.
Well, today your ass is Marky Mark.
Marky
Mark
Mark.
And he's from Bluejay Audio Productions. Yeah, that's right. I've known this gentleman for 24 years.
That's a long time.
That's almost longer than I've been around.
24.
I was 6. I was shitting my pants still when you guys knew each other.
That's crazy.
That's as old as Zach.
I think I was too.
You were one of the first people I met when I first moved up here.
Is that a good thing?
And you stayed.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Where'd you guys meet at? That's that.
well, we met at Musician's Friend. We were both working there. So
Oh, really?
we didn't really have a choice.
That's a reference. It's a dated reference, but for all of you, you might recognize it now as Guitar Center. But back in the day, before it was purchased by them, it was a locally owned company called Musician's Friend, and it was mail order catalog company.
They're still
What
around
the-
though, right? Yeah.
No, they got bought out.
Mail orders?
Well,
You can
the
order a
catalog is
mail?
still
Catalog's
published
still going.
in that
okay.
name.
Hold up. A mail order. You can order men they got a magazine?
Yes, Musical Men.
You can order men's?
Yeah.
Mail
I don't know.
order.
Are you in
Okay.
their catalog?
Well,
mail order.
Carl's part of the winter collection.
I'm in a Sears Robux catalog. JC Penney. That's how far I go back when them motherfuckers was this big.
right?
You don't remember that shit?
I mean, I've heard about it.
Yeah.
Well, so this would have been probably 97, 98.
98. Yeah,
98
that's
when we
when I
met.
moved here.
You guys went through Y2K together.
Yeah, we did.
Where did you move from?
From Chico,
Okay,
by way of
Oroville.
L.A.
Oroville, over in that area.
Oroville's near Chico.
Yeah.
They got good popcorn.
Good popcorn.
Who?
Orville. Rickenbacker.
Yeah, I don't know if he was from Oroville.
What the
but-
fuck?
I fell for that shit. Anyway, finish, Mark. Finish.
Yeah, I was in Chico, actually Sacramento, just before I moved up here. I lived in Chico for 6 years. I went to Chico State, got my recording arts degree there at Chico
So
State.
you did music down there before you came up here.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I did. I got into the music business down there by going to the recording arts program and then getting involved in live music and theater production and stuff like that.
So recording arts program. So you must have been truly like, you just grew up in music and that was your thing. So you actually got like a scholarship?
No, not exactly. I did grow up with music. Like I started playing piano at 8.
Ooh.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
It's always the best place to start, really, if you can.
Yeah, it was a great way to
Why is that,
introduce me to
Maddie?
music.
Piano it's just linear in a way that applies to almost every other instrument. So if you start with piano, it's really easy to transfer to.
Are you serious?
Because it just makes sense.
Absolutely.
So that explains why Stevie Wonder can play every motherfucking instrument. That dude can play every damn instrument easy. Like his
Now there are some that it doesn't work that way with, but they're far and few between.
Okay.
Most instruments are laid out in a pattern of some sort where by moving your fingers up or down, you're just simply choosing the next note up on a scale. And that's essentially what a piano is. It's laid out all in one. But if you think about a guitar, just imagine 6 keyboard sets.
Right.
And they're all a different octave, but that's essentially what that is. When you look at the fretboard of a guitar, it's just like a piano. And if you look at a wind instrument, the way that you're visualizing your notes on a wind instrument is the same way. The way you play them might be different. But with
the piano, you have all the notes laid out there right in front of you, right? You don't have to do anything to create the note. It's right there. You can see every note. So it's a great way to conceptualize the notes and the scales.
Whereas with like a guitar or something, you have to put your fingers in a certain position.
I always liken it to hopscotch. It's like, you remember when you're a kid and you're playing hopscotch, it's a pattern, right? And you hop over one. Maybe you miss 2 of them on purpose because you're doing the same pattern that somebody else was playing hopscotch. And it's the same with piano. As you learn it, pretty soon you start seeing these gaps. Like, I'm going to go from here to here to here. And so instead of thinking about a chord as like where my fingers go, I might think of it as hopscotch. 1, 3, 5. Or 1, 3, 6.
You see, my mother,
that makes sense.
My mother was like you, Mark. She was taught early age to play piano. My mom was amazing, and it didn't dawn on me until I was older, when I knew she was truly professional. What kind of skill she had? It was just so.
You just grew up hearing it, so
and I just grew up.
Cool.
I grew up hearing her rehearse because choir. You know, she's really from Virginia, so she went to that Baptist. So she was in the house practicing and and then she would go play at the churches, and so being able to see that. But
I grew up in Baptist church too.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Playing piano? Did you play?
Well, it was the pipe organ that really got me, I went to First Baptist Church at Van Nuys, man. They had a huge pipe organ there, and I just wanted to go and listen to the organ, That was the draw for me.
And you learned to read music early?
Yeah, I did. When I started at 8, I started with learning how to music theory. And then when I went to Chico State, it just really reinforced.
How many years were you at Chico State for?
Well, it's a 4-year program, but I already had all my undergraduate work, so I did it in 2.5 years.
Oh, wow. Dang.
And it's worth talking about one notable thing about when you went to school for recording. You went to school for recording right in the middle of a revolution in the recording industry that was happening.
Yeah, that's right.
And it's really important to talk about this because you have skills in both arenas. They talk a lot about Gen X being the generation that had no technology, technology, and so they have the skill set of
kind
both.
of right in between.
And in Chico, they were teaching you reel-to-reel recording, analog tape recording.
Yeah. They still had an analog studio there with a 2-inch tape machine. So 2-inch tape is 2 inches wide, and it records 24 tracks on inches of tape. And so we had 2-inch tape machines there for 48 tracks total. And, a great analog desk and all the classic outboard gear that you could ever want.
And what that means...
And a microphone collection.
What that means is also lost a little bit on people who aren't familiar with music. For an example, this mixing board right here that we work with has levels on it. And in the digital age, for example, if a producer is working on a mixing board and they're mixing something, they can record an automation of these adjustments that they're doing on the fly in the music. And then later on, they can hit a button and you can watch those faders move up and down. And people don't realize that
we did not have that.
They didn't. So, and it was also very much the mixer was an instrument. So you would watch these producers playing back an artist's work, and they had to physically make the changes on the fly for the artist.
And then you recruit other people to help you with that, right? Because you only have 2 hands, right? So you can't always get all the faders. So it's like you tell your friends, okay, you get on that fader right there, and you bring
right when
it down.
right when he sings this word, I want you to turn this. It was an instrument, a real true instrument at that point.
Yeah, mixing was such a real time art then. You didn't have the chance to record it and then go back and tweak it. It's like you had to get it right the first time.
Yeah, now people can do it all kind of themselves if they have the technology or
you can
or
do
the experience knowing how to do it, which is crazy because you can turn what used to be like a multiple man job into you can record your own thing and edit it yourself and master it yourself and distribute it yourself. And
the trickiest part about all of that, because that's where we worked together first, and that's how we got introduced. But where we first worked together musically was 2009-ish. I think I was working on this record, and I was doing exactly what you're talking about. And in my mind, I was going to do it all, right? I was going to learn it, and I was going to figure it out, and I was going to record this record, and it was going to sound fantastic. It was going to be ready, right? I could submit it to somebody for a commercial, ready to roll. And I bought all the gear, and I did all the research, and I talked to everybody I could, and then I sat down and I recorded, and I spent hours and hours and hours and hours and hours, and you almost want to give up at some point because you start to realize, like, you can't actually do this on your own. You can to a certain point, but not if you want that real professional sound.
It's not as easy as it looks.
It takes years of experience to dial your ear in and learn your gear, and then you can start to do that. And so that was my first lesson. Is I was really frustrated, and I knew he was in the studio stuff, and I talked to him and said, man, here's what's going on, and I'm trying to do this solo thing, and it should be really easy, and I have all of this gear. And Mark was kind enough to say, well, like, let me listen to what you got, and then I can maybe help out. And so I remember taking a couple of these raw tracks over there and saying, here's what I have. And so we even messed around with, he mixed a little bit of it, and I got to sit and listen to what he was doing and sort of see what he was doing. And that gave me the tools to get better at the mixing. But then even when I was ready at that stage and I felt like it was good, I still made the decision, I'm going to take it to Mark to master it, because mastering is a whole other level of magic. I don't care how good you are at recording and mixing. Mastering is taking something that's good and really pushing the best, beautiful pieces of it and taking down the harsher pieces of it.
Okay.
Now, I remember recording you guys to tape.
Well,
did we do that?
We did too. That was later on. That was
later. Okay.
Yeah, this was way back in 2009 when I was working on my first solo record.
Oh, you're Opposed
one.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. Right.
And we'll put a link up.
That was before we did.
Oh, that'd be dope, Maddie. I want to see that.
Maddie's
I want to see that.
And then we recorded Legendary Good Times.
Yeah, then years later, I ended up in an amazing band with what I think are some of the best musicians I've ever played with. And we didn't know what we were going to become. I was coming off of a metal band. We had lost a drummer. It's really hard to replace a drummer in a metal band. It's kind of the core of the sound. So we'd auditioned, and we couldn't find a guy. And I auditioned this one guy also named Mark. And I loved how he sounded, but he didn't sound like a metal drummer. And I had gone to my bass player at the time, Dave, and said, hey man, this guy's, he's got a sound. It reminds me of Zeppelin. It's kind of big and boomy, and John Bonham, drummer from Zeppelin. And I said, what do you think about not playing metal anymore? I mean, we've been looking forever for this drummer, can't find him. We'd have to scrap all 21 songs we'd written, start over with something brand new. But this drummer, he had something. And so
you had a whole other slew of material.
Oh yeah, we had 2 records worth of material.
That was metal?
That was metal. We had just gotten booked on big shows. We were going somewhere, and then a drummer at the time took a really good job in LA.
Damn.
What was the name of that band?
That was called In Between.
Oh yeah.
Back at that time. And for a while, our new band even went under the name In Between. We discovered another band had used it down in the Sacramento area. But long story long, next thing you know, I'm in a band that sounds like it came out of the 70s.
In what way? What way 70s? Like
all the
Doobie Brothers type
classic
Power
rock
Trio.
from the 70s.
Yeah.
The band, James Gang, that sort of sound, a little bit of Pink Floyd-y stuff.
Bluesy rock.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
A lot of blues, a lot of soul, all this stuff put together, but modern new music. It just had all of these elements from the past.
Yeah.
So when it came time to record, we got to go reel to reel. And then the light bulb comes on. Who do I know that does reel-to-reel recording?
Okay, what does that mean?
Had a reel-to-reel.
What's that reel-to-reel?
So that's what you see in the old 70s videos inside studios, the big giant machines pulling tape on one side. They're kind of mounted down at an angle. Sometimes they're vertical. But what it does for somebody who's not familiar with the difference between audio, and I'm going to let you expound on this. You're way better at it. It's smooth and buttery and creamy.
Oh,
when it's analog.
Oh, that's
when it's digital, it's a little cold and a little shrill and a little harsh. and I'll let you speak to why that is.
Yeah, those are good general descriptions. But when you're recording analog, you're actually recording the sound wave, and it's a real sound wave like it would exist in nature, you could say. But digital is simulating an analog sound wave, so it's just taking little samples every milliseconds, and, and then recreating a natural sound wave. So the result, like Maddie said, is that digital recordings can sound a little brittle, a little harsh. They don't have that smoothness.
Right.
Analog tape also just creates a whole sound. Tape compression does something to sound that's really pleasant. You know, it warms it up.
That's why records sounded so good from this. If you put a record on from the 70s, and you put a modern record on, even a great sounding setup, that record from the 70s, it has a magic to it.
And a lot of that is the tape compression, the sound of the tape compression.
So sometimes, if I want to go, I'll go through my Spotify, Three Dogs Night. I want to download that song, but it say remastered in 2007. So what the fuck? Why? So what is that for? The remaster.
Well, that would be a digital remaster. So
right.
They probably went back and got the original analog tapes and transferred all those tracks to a computer digitally at a really high sampling rate. Okay. So higher sampling rates translate better, more closely approximate the analog sound. The higher the sampling rate you use, the more you closely approximate.
So is that
analog.
more to mess with the EQ and things like that to make it sound a little bit better, or is that when they do
when the remastering? Yeah. Because now you have so many more tools with digital audio that you can enhance audio more. You can manipulate it more.
Right.
Totally. I mean, you could say more. It's relative. There's a lot of things you can do with analog gear too. But with digital, you can see it on the screen. You can do so many minute little adjustments and so a lot of old analog recorded records are being digitally remastered just to enhance them a little bit more. But now with digital recording where it's better at approximating the warmth of analog recording. And
getting
now
closer
we have,
every year.
Now I even have a digital tape machine.
Yeah.
Instead of using the tape machine that we recorded on, I can now run my digital mixes through this digital tape machine plugin, and it produces the same warmth.
Are there any artists out there that still use reel-to-reel at all?
Sure. Yeah. For those that can afford it, there are still studios recording tape around.
Wait a minute,
world,
and you can hear it.
Cities.
And you said for those that can afford a reel-to-reel.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say.
It's more expensive now to record the tape because the tape itself is expensive. There's only one or two factories in the world that are making analog tapes. Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say.
And not many studios have all the analog setup still.
And even if they do,
most of them are replaced that.
They don't have a guy like you that really knows that machine and runs it right, and it makes a difference.
Most of those guys are dead now, right?
Yeah. Oh shit!
No, so you're literally. The experience that he has is so valuable because in that school, they were teaching both. Digital had just started, right? So he got a little bit of both of that, but to even...
I studied Pro Tools and Digital Performer along with the...
Right, you got really the best of both. So we got to learn the new tools and the old school at the same time.
And then a couple of years later, they got rid of that analog studio and it went all digital. So I was like, I'm so glad I went there before they.
So Mark, what years was that? If you don't mind me asking, I'm trying to age you. Might be I'm trying to get some pussy. That's exactly what you're doing. I'm trying to get laid.
1942 in the analog.
No, I was at Chico
Charlie
State.
Chaplin was.
We had this guy. I don't even know.
It wasn't that long ago, but it was 94 through 97 is what I was at. And then they probably converted that studio to digital in around 2000 or so.
Oh, there we go. Okay, that wasn't too far.
So what was some? Did you have inspiration? I mean, you mentioned the playing piano at a young age, kind of got you into music. But did you have any artists or producers that really inspired you to want to get more involved with music?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, growing up in L.A., there's just a big music scene down there,
right?
And I mean, there is most places, but
I
just got exposed to a lot of new music through my dad.
What kind of music did your dad play around the house that caught your attention that you was like, ooh, you resonated with?
Well, he worked with people in the Hollywood music industry.
Oh,
so they would bring him records. You know, he brought home like the Rolling Stones' Sticky Fingers album when it first came out, you know, with the original zipper built into it.
Wow.
And so we would get these new release albums and, you know, be one of the first people to hear it maybe. Right? So cool. That I got exposed to a lot of music that way. And then, my parents, they liked the Beatles and Creedence and as well as, you know, older music that they grew up with. So we had a record player and a big record collection.
All you young bucks, a record player. You had to put that goddamn needle.
A turntable.
I had to buy actually the albums in the
Had to put a penny on it.
Well, it's interesting.
You don't know shit about that. We had to put a penny on it.
It's interesting because there's
to keep the needle
the
from
head
jumping.
down.
Yeah. My mom did not play around. Stay away from my record player. Like
when your records
run
are
around
warped,
the house playing.
when your children abused your records, when your records were warped, you had to have those pennies on top of it to keep
albums.
The other thing
extra weight.
people don't often realize is if you were to look at a digital wave and a regular wave, they're called a wave for a reason. It looks like the top of the ocean when it's waving, and analog, it kind of catches that whole round wave, but just like a digital photo, if you zoom in far enough, you see the pixels, you see the squares, right?
Yeah, pixels.
So when you're recording direct digitally, you're losing those squares. Every time that it's not a smooth line, there's a little triangle that got cut out, and that's actually a piece of the total sonic sound. So what he was able to do for us, which is phenomenal, is he put our original through the tape machine and then into digital in the post.
We recorded it all to tape first, right? We recorded the bass, drums,
so that gives
guitars.
us the rounded wave going into the machine,
nice and warm and smooth. Yeah.
So the digital track isn't really simulating anything.
I want to visit the studio. I'm coming because what is it?
Man.
What is it about? Bluejay?
Bluejay Productions.
I was even going to recommend, because a lot of comics listen to this, and I was going to recommend to comics that comics don't think about it, but if you ever want to do an audio album, I mean, hell, you can do a spoken word type of album in a studio for very affordable rates because you're not dealing with 5 musicians and different instruments. It's just a guy and some vocals and maybe a backing track of some kind.
Right.
Well, and that's what Bluejay's always been about, is offering affordable recording and production to local musicians and regional musicians. But I've never been about making a lot of money. I want to help people get their music out there, and I get a lot of satisfaction from that.
So does that, because
if I wanted to make a lot of money, I would have stayed in LA. But
was that ever a lucrative job to be in the studio as a engineer? And all,
well, it's like anything else in music, I guess.
Lucrative for my soul, I think.
Yeah. No, it's real talk. I'm asking because
I've always done it up here, you know, and this is a really small market. So
big time.
It's you can't make a whole lot of money up here unless you're
working
with LA markets and bigger music markets.
Is that why you did live sound, was to help supplement when the studio wasn't busy, the live sound kept things going?
Yeah, not just to supplement, but just because I love doing live sound. Right. And that's kind of how I started in Chico, was doing live sound.
So if you were a comic and you wanted a guy to come do a live
recording of like my set.
Sure. I do lots of live recordings. Yeah.
Oh.
When did you start? When did you start Bluejay Productions?
In 2000.
Good, man.
Right after I left Musician's Friend and Guitar Center, I got a contract with a local software company to make sound effects and
was
music.
that Trilobite?
No, but some of the guys that worked with Trilobite worked here. It was called
Trilobite.
Enlighten software.
Trilobite.
That's my new rap name.
That sound like a
Trilobite.
Like
we got Trilobite on the set tonight. What's up? It's your boy Trilobite.
For only dogs. That's a snack for dogs in trailer parks. It's like
Trilobite. You gotta get ready, Sean. You got a Trilobite.
Snaggletooth dogs.
Well, the other thing being in this small of an area, it's interesting because the valley is weird. It's like a melting pot of music anyway. Yeah. It might not be for culture, but for music, it seems like it is. So you have probably worked with almost every genre of music.
Yeah.
I mean, I've watched you work.
That's what I want to hear about.
Yeah. Well, you got to stay verstal around here.
Right.
You
Yeah.
can't pigeonhole yourself
you
into one kind of thing. So,
You know, I was watching this documentary. I think it might have been on Netflix, but it actually was a recording studio that a lot of artists went to, whether it was the Police, gosh, Pink Floyd. It was in the Caribbean.
Oh, Montserrat, probably.
Yeah.
Oh.
And man, it was just so amazing hearing those stories. Like, they were all about that studio. I don't know what it was. That it might have been that area, but it was just amazing to hear about.
There's a lot of artists visiting it.
Yeah, it was a lot that stopped in there to make albums and just, a lot of them use it to detach.
Yeah, you can
from
imagine.
whether it was Hollywood, New York, wherever, so they could just go there
it's
and
like
work
getting
on
away.
it.
It's a beautiful place.
And it was cool too because the police didn't get along. Those three dudes really clashed.
Yeah.
And their last album, I think it was their last album, was the one they recorded up there. But it was some of the best work they did not getting along.
Right, the tension. That's like the Fleetwood Mac recipe.
Yeah, exactly. But it was some of the best work they did not getting along. But it was like they look back and think about how they recorded. It was just amazing times. But they weren't getting along. But that was some of the best goddamn music.
I think the cool thing about those documentaries is you get to see a lot of behind the scenes work, like with the producers and stuff.
Yeah,
because I've seen documentaries with Lil Wayne and Jay-Z. You watch them record some of the biggest verses of their career, and you get to see the people that are behind it, and they're doing like these old school methods of setting up blankets over curtain rods. And I'm like, dude, Jay-Z's a billionaire, and he's doing the same thing that I could do and produce the same kind of sound. It's just like mind-boggling because you don't understand what goes in that process.
That's exactly right. People don't understand how much that your engineer affects the final outcome of your record.
Yeah.
And I mean, when we worked together the first time around, we rented a studio from Sandy, friend of his, a beautiful studio in development, really cool place.
Sandy Ficka's Flabby Road studio.
Yeah, Flabby Roads, a little pun off of the Beatles.
Okay.
Abbey Road.
Yeah,
but
there we go.
So the studio was still being built. We got to be the first ones to come in.
That's right, yeah.
And record in this space. And
that
Sandy,
room was so great.
He's a celebrity. He's in the band Firefall.
Okay.
Who had some hits, still touring right now also. Firefall still
really?
doing
Sandy's
gigs.
the drummer for Firefall. Yeah, they've been
What
touring a lot.
Yeah.
Around here?
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of musicians.
I think they're touring more on the West.
They're not playing here.
Emphasis on the Zach. Get out of here.
Right. They're like Shane. They live here. They don't play here. They live here.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
True.
But
makes sense.
So the first time we go on location, we had rented, and here's the thing with that reel to reel, it's extremely expensive, and you only get 45 minutes of tape at a time. And so
Actually 30.
Or 30 minutes, right? So we had bought whatever we could afford.
At 15 IPS, 15 inches per second.
And I
Depends
think
on the speed that
I
you
think we
record
had
at, right?
I'll give you 15
I knew
inches.
Carl was coming with it. I looked over.
Okay.
I think we could
14 and a half.
I was relating to when we had the 2-inch talk going on, but now we're talking 15 inches.
14.5. Round it off.
Oh, we
You
could
just
have
round
gone
it
with
off.
I was there. I was like, okay, 2 to 4 inches. I'm there. I got you.
That'd be.
And now we're like 15 inches. Carl,
Yeah.
like, I'm on the scene, ready to record.
so stereotypical, Carl.
I know, right?
That must have been some black tape you had in that reel.
Well, it was brown actually. As it turns out.
But you can't.
Exactly,
So
it is.
if you
It
mess
is.
up, there's no re-recording, right? You just scrap that tape, or how does that work?
Well, that's what I was going to say. So
you can record over the tape a few times. But,
Gotcha.
But
Okay.
you don't want to
Not
do
a
that
lot.
too much. Yeah.
It's like an etch-a-sketch. You use it enough. It's
So
just,
it's
it always
really-
looks
Fresh
sketched
tape
already.
is the best.
it's limited, and like you could be in the middle of a take, and boy, if you're starting to run out of tape,
Yeah.
if
Then
you
you're
run to
like,
the end of you're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, you definitely don't want to run out of tape.
Oh my
Yeah, exactly. So there's lots of things that go.
I never run out of
Great.
tape.
So this
Carl's
guy,
plugging himself again.
in addition to working with us, so he kind of made this dream come true because we wanted to eventually put this album on vinyl, which we still haven't done. We want to do, but in order to put out a vinyl record that sounds like it came from the 70s, you got to go with analog in. You got to get it right the original way. So he was able to going into that studio to help set everything up in a way that sounded like that classic sound we want to, dial in all the instruments, make all that magic happen. And then post-production, he's working with us on the mixing to get the tracks volume right and panning things to the left and right to get it to sound.
And I think we did some overdubs after that.
Then vocals come last as the overdubs. And then, of course, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about is him as a musician is
Okay, there we go.
He's been on all of our records because we're like, come on, play on at least 2 tracks. And so
what instrument you mess with, Mark? The oral
keyboards mostly, or organ. I think I played like a B3 organ on your album. Mostly.
Yep. We should have set up a keyboard and just put him on the spot. We got this keyboard for you to play for us.
This episode, it's good for me because I'm going to put up all sorts of links to all the stuff that he did, but it's really people listening to my band. So I'm like, listen to me.
Yeah.
But no, it was really cool because watching you do that process and seeing everything that went into it. And we really had a great time with the experience. So now fast forward to album 2, it's time to do our second record. And we wanted to work with Mark, of course. And it's like, okay, well, let's buy a little more tape. We have a little bit more takes at this. But this time
tape
around,
is not so expensive. We were recording on 1/4-inch tape, so that's
we went
a lot less than the 2-inch tape.
Now we're in Zach's territory.
There we go.
I'm back,
There
baby.
we go.
You looking for that 1/4-inch tape?
You looking for that 1/4-inch tape?
Looking for that 1/4-inch tape?
The micro penis edition or whatever. The micro penis.
Sorry, I probably shouldn't do that.
It's okay, man.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I got a tape you could re-record over, but it's only 1/4-inch.
That should be the white dude similar right there.
So we did the second record and we did kind of like what you're talking about with that studio. Because now at this point, the second record, Mark is in a new location and is this beautiful spot that's up on this hill in Jacksonville.
Up where I am now, yeah.
And so the second record, we're like, Mark, can we come live with you for like a couple days and record? Because we wanted to record. We saw some documentaries where these bands,
that's sick, man.
They would go live in a place for a month.
I really wanted to offer that. I love that idea of a band coming up and staying there for a couple of days. You know,
like the real world.
You guys did that? You guys did that?
Yeah. So we came and we invaded.
Where's your guys' documentary at?
We did take pictures.
Yeah,
but did we film it?
Oh no, we did.
That'd be cool.
Filmed a little bit of it, but most of it was all. I mean, we have thousands of photos of it. Our friend Stephen Riley, he was doing photography and came up and documented the whole thing.
Man, that's you got to have that.
But I just mean to say it was cool because you gave us this experience that we wanted to feel like what would a 70s band have done? How would they have done it?
That's what it felt
So you guys did LSD and just stayed there for 2 days?
Well, we may have
didn't get anything done.
We may have done certain things. I mean, Mark runs a professional studio. So
That's funny.
I thought.
So where do you run it out of your home or?
I do. I run it out of my home. Yeah. So
Okay.
I'm up above Jacksonville on the hills above Jacksonville in the forest.
Oh wow!
So it's a really
Beautiful.
quiet,
That's I like that.
really quiet
I like
setting,
that.
very peaceful.
Deer running
great
around.
views.
Zach,
Deer.
you and I going up there.
We're
going up there and check it out.
I'm down. Let's go. We're recording
I'm serious.
hip hop album.
I was actually hoping you guys would go up there.
25 cent.
Zach makes music. We were talking about it beforehand. If he ever got to
That'd
that
be
point
cool.
where he's like, I want to really do this record, like do it up,
Yeah.
go up there. Carl ever want to do?
Because the thing about it, Mark, all three of us are music inclined. We love music. A lot of our podcast, we always throwing in some music, even if we just like making up our parodies from a famous song. We love music, so we.
All right, well, you guys got to come on up. And
I'd love to. That would be cool.
But I started to say he plays. So you're currently playing in the J Brothers duo, doing covers.
Yeah. I play with my brother as a duo. The J Brothers. We play as a trio sometimes with our drummer Mike Whipple. And when the venue can afford it, we add a saxophone player.
That's right. When the venue can't afford it,
Kent
name your price. Goddamn right, Mark. Get your money, Mark.
I love saxophone. That's such a nice
So what I saw was the wineries were all hosting music, and I'm like, I want to put together a band that plays in the wineries because during COVID, that was the only thing you could do. It was,
That's what I did.
It's still like the best place to get gigs around here.
But you guys did it in a way that wasn't cheesy. I mean, I'm sorry, but
thank you.
So many cover bands pick the same fucking songs that other cover bands are playing. So it's like, yay, let's go out and see the cover band that plays it. Like nobody wants Mustang Sally. Nobody wants
that. Especially if you got a female lead singer.
A cover of a
band. Female lead singers in the cover band, what songs are you guaranteed to always hear?
Always Fleetwood, like always Landslide.
Exactly.
Oh yeah.
Exactly.
It's always going to be Lisa Loeb.
Yeah.
It's always going to be.
Exactly.
Yeah, so we do try to choose songs that other people aren't playing out, but they're still.
You guys even do Steely Dan
familiar.
tracks every once
We
in a
do.
while.
We do a few Steely Dan.
Steely Dan.
Man, I love Steely Dan.
You know you do. If you don't love Steely Dan, you got bad.
You know what Steely Dan is, though. What it really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, what the fuck?
Facts.
Steely Dan 3 from Yokohama is the name of an oversized steam-powered strap-on dildo mentioned in William S. Burroughs' book, Naked Lunch.
Hey, what the fuck?
You ever heard of the band Steely Dan?
He doesn't know.
I know who Downtown Dan is.
Do you know I just saw him the other day.
Everybody knows Downtown Dan.
Right. Look, so this is
There's a guest for our podcast.
Well, let me tell you a story about Downtown Dan. I just saw him the other day. There's an outreach for like the homeless camp out here, and it's called a livability team. Got a police officer, they got a role. Yeah. So I was going by and I saw somebody I knew that works on it, and Downtown Dan was standing by there, and so he was arguing with the cop. And then he just being sassy with the cop. He told the cop, I bet you don't even know your own damn name. Then I walk up, he was like, hey, Carl. I was like, Dan know my name. Dan
does not forget.
You know my damn name.
Dan does not forget names. It's weird. He's got some weird superpowers. He'll be like, how you been? He'll mention something from 7 years ago that like I had this brief conversation with him.
And for still doing it, I'm like, viewers with no context, this is Medford's most fameless semi-homeless man.
Yeah,
he's been both housed and homeless, but he's currently housed. He's in a decent spot now.
Yeah,
but he prefers the homeless.
He's known
as a camp out there.
He used to be known as White City Dan.
Yeah,
but then he expanded territory.
Yeah, he took over. He took over Medford like a drug, like a kingpin. I'm locking this old shit down.
Oh hell yeah!
So check this.
Every day when I lived.
All right, Mark, Steely Dan, please tell me you play Dinkin' Blues.
Working on that one.
Oh man, this is a great tune.
See, you got your favorite one. I got my favorite. We're gonna have to introduce Zach.
What's your favorite?
My favorite is Peg.
Blues.
Peg. Okay.
I heard Peg.
How's that go? You guys sing some of these.
Well, Peg is mostly instrumental, except for like the chorus part. You wouldn't actually recognize it, but we need to get it into your vocabulary because.
Well, because I'm big on hip hop and rap. A lot of these rappers and hip hop artists will take popular.
They're sampling.
They'll sample them,
sure.
and it's cool because there's this TikTok guy I follow, and he's really good at breaking apart. Like he'll show the original record, be like what it sounded like originally, and then how they mixed it down and made it sound, and he'll reproduce it, and it's cool because you see the process, and you're like, oh wow, that is that.
And so
how about this?
Come from that.
And they're even doing it from 90s songs I grew up on now. These rappers are using those, and people are like, so they'll hear the beginning and be like, oh, and I'm like, no, this is the 90s version.
No, Mom, this isn't your version.
Hey, Mark, here it is, Zach. This is a song I'm gonna play that hip hop group covered, sampled Steely Dan, and you're gonna recognize as soon as you hear it, Mark.
Okay.
I've heard this.
Well, I recognize
it. Yeah, you will.
All right, put it on the microphone.
After this commercial, because I'm on YouTube, so you know they got 5 second commercials.
Carl don't pay for premium.
No. Here it is.
Put it up the microphone.
Here it is.
Put up the microphone.
I'm trying to fast forward it for you to the right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that's not it. Hold up.
Yeah, and also Zach, you're gonna have to nod. Resist the urge for a minute.
All right, here we go.
Flowing right over the top. It's in his blood.
I think
Check this out. Check this out, Mark. You're gonna know exactly. It's one of my favorite Steely Dan, so they sample.
Yeah. Okay. That sounds like the Queen's music so far. Ah, yeah. Black Cow.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah. Well, all those songs are off that Asia album. Peg, Black Cow, Deacon Blues.
There was magic on that record.
Oh, that's a fantastic album.
Yeah.
You talk about what inspired me. Their recording engineer, Al Schmidt, he really inspired me.
Oh, wow.
Oh, nice.
Because his productions are so clean.
He was one of the first guys to take rock and roll of any kind seriously. And really,
so?
Yeah, because what was happening, people don't realize it, but the reason there's a sound to that older rock and roll is because it was considered garbage music at the time by the record company industry as far as how much money they're going to make off of it versus Sinatra and versus the more formal stuff. They looked at rock and roll like, oh, this is kind of this bastardized music. We're not going to spend much money on this production. So they would have engineers that would put only a few mics in a room and make it work. But it produced this amazing sound that you hear on these classic records where it was done with minimal gear because they didn't have as much budget.
That album had a different production track.
Right.
And they made a documentary out of it, the making of Asia. And they spent a ton of money.
That's what I'm saying. That's why he was different.
Yeah.
He was taking it seriously, spending money to do.
Well, and it was Fagan and Becker, too, that were really driving it, you know. So
they're like a law firm.
They put together 5 bands, 5 separate bands.
You injured?
And had them all play the songs.
Oh, wow.
And then they picked the best players out of those 5 bands.
To assemble the studio team.
And to put the final band together.
Wow.
So they spent tons of money and time in the studio.
So what is it like?
Asia. It was amazing.
So a lot of big time artists, they use a studio band too, huh? Some of them use a studio band
like,
to record.
Don't be telling secrets.
Oh,
and that was more popular in the past. Like
yeah,
the
exactly.
Wrecking Crew in L.A. and
so they would do the studio. Jesus Christ.
a famous studio.
That's alcohol abuse. What just
Did you just get
that was good. That was funny,
Zach
Carl.
a redneck
That's
trick
funny.
earlier, and he's got it
Jesus
now.
Christ.
Taking it out on you, Carl.
So like for example, let me see, Motown.
Yeah.
What's the name of Motown's in-house, the recording band? What's the name of them guys? I forgot.
Oh, at Motown? That was, what were they called?
I forgot, but they weren't the
I
same.
remember the Wrecking Crew.
Yeah, but they weren't the same ones that are going on.
Swampers down in Muscle Shoals, but yeah.
But they wouldn't go on tour with them, right?
No.
See, they would use a whole totally different thing, right?
Yeah, each famous studio had their Studio Cat musicians.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Which Stevie Wonder was one of those guys. Stevie Wonder was a studio musician who was on a ton of records that he wasn't even credited for.
yeah, and that was in the
True.
60s, in the 50s
He was.
and
Me
60s.
too, right.
That's what they did all the time. They always had
Quincy
the studio
Jones, too.
musicians play the
Because
music.
if you think about it, it's like a really good band back then, especially, was mostly about the performance, not as much about what it sounded like in the live setting.
you go.
Right? So when you get a band that's really good at performing and they're decent musicians, but now they're out on the road and they're drinking and eating shitty food, and it's been 30 days since they slept well. And then
Must
it's
be a
like,
musician.
Okay,
Sounds
now
like a
it's-
comedian.
Sound like your life?
Sounds like a
be a
touring
musician.
comedian.
And now they're like,
be a
they're like going to cram you in a studio and say, now play the best sounding music,
Oh, yeah.
best version of your music you've ever done. We're going to record it. Half the time they couldn't do it, so label would get frustrated, and they'd bring in musicians that could do it. And so the thing you listen to in the record at home might not have even been the band that you thought you liked.
But it was the Beatles who turned that all around, because the Beatles came along and they could actually play
do
well
both.
and write their own music. And so they really started the trend of real musicians playing their own
I've
music
seen
in
some
the studio.
artists though that like like you were saying, might be on a bender or just not taking care of themselves and expected to play good music. But some artists that are just like completely raw, and one I'll use an example is Amy Winehouse. She could be fucked up and still sound like
Sound better.
angel.
Yeah.
Sound like what the hell?
Yeah.
Like I remember watching an interview of her and she was talking about how she's high and all this stuff, and they had her sing on the show, just raw, uncut, nothing.
Yeah.
And it was like, holy shit. Like that, she is amazing.
There's stories of Sinatra.
You can imagine like being completely sober and
Ooh.
still doing it. It's like, what?
There's stories of Sinatra being completely waking up with a hangover and being completely hammered.
And he's
But
still.
he apparently had this talent where when he sang, he didn't slur.
Right.
And it was like,
like,
it was
I gotta fucking-
otherworldly, because when he would talk to the engineer, it
Sounds
was
like Ozzy Osbourne.
it's like slurring
Yeah.
all over.
Right.
But it's
Fly me to the moon.
Exactly, just bust into it. And apparently
back,
some of his better takes were when he was actually on benders.
Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
that's crazy.
That's interesting. I bet Ray Charles was high when he recorded, because he shot up. He was that black tar. So I know he. I
Carl,
know
you
he
should
was-
try it. You might be a lot funnier if you got messed up one of these times.
I'm the one that I'm
make
the
him
one.
cry on the air.
No,
Messed
I'm the one who's been on television.
Oh,
Okay,
Basic
I'm
cable.
The one
Basic
been
cable.
on NBC and HBO.
I was a missing person for like 2 years.
No, Medford mugshot does not count, motherfucker. Yo ass, that's not TV. That was. So your brother plays with you.
Yeah, my brother Scott, he plays bass guitar.
Ooh, boom, boom, boom.
Which one of you guys?
I love slapping
boom,
bass.
Which one of you guys started playing music
Hey, like
first?
that ass.
Boom, boom, boom.
Probably around the same time. We both, he started on clarinet as a kid, and I started on piano. And then he moved to saxophone,
Damn.
and I stayed on piano, and then I started buying synthesizers and playing electronic keyboards.
That's
and then,
cool.
And then my brother transitioned to bass guitar after that. He just
wow.
felt like, that's the instrument that
Damn,
really called
but
him.
God, what's his name that played with Sly Stone? Larry Graham.
Yeah, Larry Graham. Oh, yeah. There's a
Larry
bass player.
Graham, man. The
Slap it.
Yeah.
And I still go back and watch a lot of that, just like to see him. And that's because he created his own sound with
Yeah,
it.
he played on a lot
He
of
created
records.
that own sound, like boom.
Now, as far as, we've talked a lot about what you do, but if a band is out there or a performer is out there and they're thinking about going into the studio for real, right? Maybe for the first time for real. What kind of advice would you give to them if somebody's listening out there that's thinking like, maybe I do want to go into the studio, like as far as like maybe how to get ready for that?
Like me, if I walk in, don't have a fucking clue of what I'm doing, where would you direct me? If I hey, I want to come
practice,
in.
I want to
come in
until you get your parts down. Don't come into the studio and practice.
Would you ask like what sound you're looking for, or or how does that work? Is that
well, I'm saying like, what advice would he give to the?
Oh, okay,
right.
Got you.
Yeah,
got you.
To someone coming into the studio, yeah. Mm-hmm. I mean, first you got to kind of figure out what the approach is, right? Is it a singer-songwriter? Is it you're saying in a band instance?
Yeah.
So you want to get a feel for where they're at in terms of their playing ability. Can they play to a click track, for example?
Right.
So that's a big thing you decide right from the top.
Click track.
Can you guys record
metronome
to a metronome or a click track?
Mm-hmm. Damn.
That's pretty common in the industry. Most people want to stay.
I turn that off every time I record
in the background.
On tempo through the whole song, And so commercial music is all recorded to a click.
Carl, this is the thing white people have to do to stay on tempo. This is why you haven't heard of it. In order for white people to be on time, we've developed computers to help us have rhythm.
I came with mine. Sorry.
You come out like that. Tick.
So that's actually one of the first things I determined. Is like, do you guys want to record to a click or not? I think you guys did not record to a click.
No, we wanted a live record.
Yeah, which is fine, If people have good meter and they can keep in time, or, the tempo fluctuates a little bit, that's natural too.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
What about like a solo artist? Like someone that like, for me, for instance, rapping or like singing by myself, I don't play any instruments.
Yeah.
So well, how did that? What kind of process does that look like? Someone coming into your studio,
learn a fucking instrument.
Yeah, if you want.
Yes. The voice is the instrument.
See how they ask you a question and then they just go.
Gosh, Carl, he's distracted.
Can I speak here?
I'm sorry.
Hey, sorry, Mark.
It's Carl's fault.
We're gonna hog tie.
What was the question?
Yeah. So like for hip hop or a solo,
just someone doing vocals, just
Yeah.
singing or rapping.
So if they want to add instruments after they've done their parts, then it's important to record to a click. Because if you're wanting to create a drum track or have somebody come in and lay an overdub on something, they need a time reference, so that they can follow it. And if the time tempo is drifting, you can't anticipate that and stay tight.
That's a good point.
Right.
So practice along to a metronome before you go into the studio.
So if you're wanting to do that kind of thing, where you're wanting to add drums and other instruments later, then it is important to be able to play to a click.
Right, totally.
Yeah.
So somebody can lay down some acapella and bring it to you.
I wouldn't start with acapella.
Yeah.
I mean that's a good way to just demo the song,
or
introduce the song.
Yeah.
But you probably end up re-recording it once you figure out the tempo.
Yeah, exactly.
And the other instruments.
But if you say you did have something like that too, a click recording or a metronome, you could easily build around it with that.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Exactly.
Yeah, that's the key,
Because when I used to write for Boys to Men.
Yeah?
Damn, Maddie.
Tell us about that.
I don't even want to talk about it no more, man.
See, I give them away. I can't hold it in. I'm just like, you didn't write.
I'm curious now. You're going to have to tell me.
That's why he's growing his hair out, because none of the Boys the Men can, so he's like.
But I did meet Boys the Men. But I did
could work with an acapella band. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. He's just saying, don't bring me a hip hop track with no backing.
But I did meet Boys to Men. I did. When they first came out, I met them before they blew up. I met them.
Yeah.
That was when their lawyer had to give you the restraining order, right?
Well, you're right. So we actually didn't meet. So they asked me to stay away from.
You were behind the glass, but they saw you. But that counts.
But the thing about it, Mark, I've been growing up, I was so hardcore into music, man. It was like the law of attraction. You guys familiar with law of attraction, right?
Yeah.
But I know that had to be in my life because it's been like, when Boys to Men first came out, they had it was back in the day when guys were working hard to promote themselves. So they had fucking promotional tours.
Yeah.
Where you would come through and do the Armory.
And the record labels were still backing them up.
Yeah, exactly. Jeez. That's it. So it was, because I grew up in Virginia.
Oh, yeah? What town?
Norfolk.
Oh, Norfolk. I lived in Norfolk.
There we go. See? And they came through Norfolk, and I found on the radio station. That's when the radio station would be like, Boys the Men ain't going to be at the record store. They'll be at the record store. Come on down, Boys the Men.
Tonight at 5 p.m.
Yeah, and I went down there, and boom, and I got to meet them and hang out, so it was crazy. But years before that, I had that experience. I hung out with Run DMC, Houdini, and a couple other hip-hop artists. Might have been UTFO. Now, Houdini was come out with the Run DMC era. Freaks
really?
come out at night.
Oh, okay.
The freaks come out at night.
I've heard that before.
So yeah, I had that.
I don't know Houdini.
So I had that thing, man. I was always attracting, like, being in a situation. But my favorite group I grew up with was New Edition. My sister was living in Hampton. And so my sister picked me up, took me to Hampton so I can go to the Hampton Coliseum and see New Edition perform. So my sister would drop me off. I'm in a concert and I see my sister and her friends. I'm like, what are you doing here?
They didn't know you were coming in.
Yeah, because on my way out, my sister's just gorgeous, right? On the way out, the percussionist, my sister was driving, was in his limo, saw my sister, stopped her, and her friend, hit on my sister, gave my sister passes to come to the show, and then afterwards, she dropped my black ass home and went to hang out with New Edition at the after party. And that was
left out.
And you just had to know that was happening.
And the guy, percussionist for New Edition, wanted to date her. But she blew him off at the concert. She wasn't feeling like, you fucked it up for me.
That was my way.
Bobby was on his way out.
Drummers.
I was the newer edition.
Bobby was on his way out. I could have.
Well,
and I was like 15.
Yeah.
I think I was like 15 then.
Did you want to sing with them?
Yeah. I wrote them a letter because Maddie knows, and they know I tell stories when I was coming up. I did a lot of performing live, and I used to sing for bands who were working on, whether it was a Prince song, I used to come in and just sing the song, fuck around, and he knew I was big on New Edition, so he lied to me and told me that they were looking for a new member.
oh no.
and back then we had magazines like Teen. Remember Teen magazines? Yeah. And they had the fan club.
90s too.
We had. You thought it was a fan. You thought it was an actual fucking address you was sending it to.
Yeah.
So I sent it to him, trying to convince them to put me in a group.
Did you get
Then it come out, the motherfucker lied to me.
They messaged back.
I ain't
I'm sorry,
getting
Carl.
it.
We're actually not looking for it.
Yeah, they
Just trying to
actually
get to your sister.
they actually banned me from.
We are
from the
looking
fan
for
club.
100 older
That's
sisters.
that restraining order.
They banned me from the fan club. I can't do shit. Damn.
Well, for anybody that's listening in, how do they get in touch with you if they wanted to check out your studio? I know you've got a website.
Yeah, bluejayproductions.com is the website.
Not BJ Productions because that'll lead you to
I
a different
know
website.
exactly.
Bluejayproductions.com.
Right, Bluejay like the bird productions.
Yeah, I actually think that's a good idea, man. I encourage, me being a comic, it's a lot of stuff I encourage these young comics to do.
Yeah.
In able to
Get somebody to tape your live shows.
because it's a level to this shit. You know what I mean? So I like for them young bucks to reach out, go to Bluejay Studio Production, check all that shit because there's levels to it. You know what I mean? So they can be educated and realize oh, okay.
And like Mark said, he's not trying to make six figures a year. He's working with people on their budgets.
I refer to myself as a boutique studio, right?
Dope.
Because it's a small studio. I run it out of my home. It's all me, basically. So, there's only so much
You and your cat.
one person can do. The cat, too. Yeah,
cat.
cat
You can't go now.
I can't go.
It's outside cat.
Woo, thank God.
Okay. Whew.
So,
It's actually a bobcat.
It's a bobcat. Just sitting up. Just sitting up.
Cougar.
Just sitting up. waiting.
It
I was
guards,
like,
it
I
guards
don't
the
think I'm
gear.
not ready to record today. I think I'm gonna.
But
go
I'm cool though. I might just say Wakanda. They be like, all right, relax.
It
relax.
tags me.
Go past.
So I just take on a handful of projects at a time, because I don't want to spread myself too thin. And then I work at the Brit Festival in the summer. So
Ooh, what do you do?
Yeah.
Pretty tied up with that.
Ooh.
So get him while you can is what he's saying. You better schedule some time. If you want to get into Mark's schedule, you call him now, get some time, get it in the books.
This would be the time.
Hey, Mark.
Yeah, I have I have a couple of new projects starting this month. So
Tell me about
we're
it.
recording at Sandy Ficca's studio again.
Very nice.
With Adam Gabriel.
Shout out to Sandy, by the way. He hooked us up so big on our recording.
Sandy, baby.
Sandy's a great guy.
We got to use his drum set even that he records on.
Man, that is cool as shit.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, and his studio room is great for drum recording, especially because it's just got really great acoustics. And
So Mark, I know we have a lot of famous artists that live out this way or
We
come
do,
through.
yeah.
Do they ever connect with you? Ever need any
Half of them hang out at Mark's.
Sure.
Yeah.
I work with Jeff Pivar, the guitarist. He played
I
with
love
Ray
this.
Charles. He played
Yeah.
with Crosby, Stills,
wow.
Nash. Many people. Yeah, he's out on tour right now.
This is so
with
cool.
the Gilmore Project, playing Pink Floyd.
He was
So,
the one that
he's
got
good-
to record in the Caves Caves, right?
Yeah, he did an Oregon Caves
Remember
recording.
we talked about that story.
Yeah, yeah.
We've collaborated on a few projects.
Love it, man.
And, I work with Alice DiMaselli and Brett Levick. We actually play in a band together.
Yep.
I'm in the Petty Thievery Band, which is a Tom Petty tribute.
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
Cool.
Yes, sir.
That's a lot of fun. And Gene Black is
You
in that
better
band.
watch what you
Gene
say.
was Joe Cocker's touring guitarist. And
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
great player. Yeah, we have some great players in that band.
I remember coming up to Mark's house one day, and wasn't it the guy from Starship was leaving your house?
Oh,
Are you serious?
Yeah, right. Craig Chiquiso. Yeah.
Yeah, so he I
said
meet him.
Starship.
I like
They don't know
I meet this
Starship.
Guy, I meet
Yeah,
this
you
guy
probably don't know
casually.
that.
I meet this guy casually, like I'm coming
You
up to
met
hang
Craig
out.
up there. Okay.
Yeah, and he's leaving, and Mark introduces me, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you'd like this guy's music," and he's telling him that about us, and I'm like, "Oh, thank you." You know, I meet him, and he goes away, and we sit down and probably getting ready to smoke some pot together or something. And he's
I'm pretty sure you were, man.
By the way, you know who that guy is?
I'm pretty fucking sure
and
you
I
were.
said no, and he tells me who it is, and I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" That's awesome.
That's
Yep.
crazy.
He's
That's crazy.
Pretty famous rocker. Yeah. I actually played in his band for 2 years.
See?
That was
Jeez,
a
you've
good
been
time.
all over the place.
That's what I'm saying. You
So-
guys don't know who we have sitting here. Right now.
Exactly.
You're pretty
So
privileged. So
what-
thank you for
what-
being here.
Hey, Mark,
hey.
so when you playing live
pleasure.
again?
Yeah, when's your next live performance?
Well, I'm playing with my brother, Jay Brothers Duo at Hummingbird
At
Winery.
State.
That's
Hummingbird
Tim's. That's
State
Tim's winery.
Well, that's what I did. I put on a show there in August.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So Alvarez,
Keep in mind, this takes about a month to come out.
Hummingbird.
Oh, right. So
State.
this is next
It's
week.
shit.
So that,
Right,
you
right.
can edit
So-
that
So
out
this
of
was 3 weeks ago.
So when Carl says when you playing next,
But it's
we gotta
February.
prepare
This hasn't
you ahead of
happened
time.
yet, but it was 3 weeks ago. They had a show, it went really
But
well.
It's in February.
Well, yeah, I could say the Jay Brothers, we play at Relic Winery once a month.
Awesome place.
That's often
Oh,
in the Tempo.
Relic's great.
You have a
place.
website?
I like Relic.
Facebook?
The Jay Brothers are on Facebook. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Look it up on Facebook, Jay Brothers.
Yeah. And so we play at Relic Winery, at Daisy Creek, at Hummingbird.
You guys out at Red Lily sometimes too?
Haven't
Red
played
Lily's
at
a
Red
nice
Lily.
venue.
Well, Red Lily should contact you.
They
They're really nice
should,
venue.
yeah.
Totally.
And Roxanne.
Yep.
Cool.
So
Well, we appreciate
some of the best wineries in the area.
Yeah.
As far as we're concerned. So yeah, we're really.
And I appreciate your selection of non-standard covers. So when you go out to see him play
thanks.
live,
That's what I'm
'Cause, you
talking
know,
you're
about,
not going to
man.
have to sit through that BS you've
I
heard.
love that.
You know, like you said, it can be cheesy, it can be schmaltzy. It's like, maybe
But it still could be my
people think
jam,
it could
though.
be-
Which is
could be
fine.
It's my
loungy,
jam.
Which is fine if it's a new song I haven't heard. You know,
I don't
you
know.
what I mean, like
but sometimes that's my jam when you hear something like, oh shit, that's
no,
my
that's what
jam.
they do though.
Yeah.
So they pull these songs you forgot about.
Yeah. Okay.
They're good
Okay.
at that. They'll pick these.
The forgotten hit.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I'm talking
For the
about.
most part, yeah. We do. You know, we do some Elton John. That's pretty mainstream.
I'm gonna look you up
Yeah.
because I'm gonna take my lady out
Jay
to
Brothers.
that.
You should.
Hey, all right.
See, I'm gonna
Jay
look her
Brothers,
up,
the forgotten
and then I'm gonna
hits.
take the fucking mic from you and start doing dick jokes and fuck up the whole night.
So just a normal show then,
You
Carl.
can, you
Just
can warm up.
Yeah,
for
there
it.
we go.
Carl's just going to have a normal show.
I'm gonna warm it up and I'm gonna end the night.
Well, we appreciate you coming
Yeah,
on the
thanks for
show.
coming on, Mark.
And
Well,
we're gonna
thanks for having me.
we're gonna
Thank
put
you,
all
man.
the links up so that
Yep.
people can check out the studio and check out the band.
We're going to check it out, too. We're going to go see that cat of yours.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I just posted a picture of my cat.
Bring
on,
some Benadryl.
on Instagram.
Benadryl.
It's getting all kinds of hits.
And in case you guys are wondering, I introduced him in the beginning as Mark T. Johnson. For all you bands out there, the T stands for tone. So you better go talk to the man.
MTJ.
You want pure tone? It's Mark
MTJ.
Tone
MTJ.
Johnson.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
MJ
To do
on
something
the
to make
show.
it less generic.
But yeah, so go check out his links. We appreciate you being here. We
for having
certainly we've talked about doing live podcast shows. So you never
Yep.
know, we might get involved with Bluejay
Yeah.
to do
Great,
some work
great.
on our
That'd be
do a
sick.
live podcast in front of a studio audience.
All right. Yeah, I'm currently recording a
Bluejay
podcast
Productions.
for,
Oh, blasphemy! Don't tell them.
God,
Yeah.
what the?
Go to,
it's a totally different thing.
He did just plug his new podcast.
Good. It's
Listen
not-
to no other
Don't forget to like and subscribe, and follow us wherever fine podcasts are streaming.